All right. So about 4 years ago, we started a ritual here at Astrology Hub. It was introduced to us by an astrologer named Tracey Cook, who I have here with me today. And what she introduced to us in our community is something called treasure mapping. This is something that we have now been doing. We're going on our fourth year, and it's essentially an astrologically timed vision board. But treasure maps just sound so much more fun. And there are some nuances to it that make it a little bit different than your average vision board. Okay. It's become such a beloved ritual that not only for our community, but also in my own little family. So my girls and I, in January, we start our clearing the clutter phase where we're preparing for the treasure mapping that's going to happen at the Aries New Moon. So we're clearing out different little corners in our house. We're doing little house projects. We're clearing out our closets. We're making space for something very new. So this has become beloved, not just with the Astrology Hub community, but for me personally with my little family, which is just such a gift and a blessing. So Tracey, thank you for that. Now, the first 3 years we did it, the manifestations and the co-creation with the universe and the flow that it created was astounding. I mean, it was just like almost everything I would put on this treasure map would manifest into form. So this was amazing. All this was true until last year. So we do the treasure maps like we've been doing. And I kid you not, my experience with the treasure map last year was nothing like the previous 3 years. And so throughout the year, I would be leaving Tracey text messages and text audios like, Tracey, are these things happening for you? I mean, how's your treasure map? What are you hearing? I would actually also ask our community, what's going on with you? Is your treasure map working like it normally does? What's happening? So I was really trying to get the pulse and just to see, like, maybe it's just me, maybe for whatever reason, it's just me. But it seemed to be consistent that people were having wonky experiences with their treasure maps. So finally, this year, I'm approaching it as usual. The girls and I are clearing the clutter starting in January, but I'm kind of wondering, do I want to do a treasure map again? Because this last experience was so weird. And so I leave Tracey a message and I'm like, look, Tracey, things are weird. What do you think? I know there's another eclipse this year. There was an eclipse last year. There's another eclipse. What do you think? Why do you think things got off course? And she left me the best message. Mm-hmm. She left me a message that when I applied what she thought and her conclusions about it, it hit the nail on the head. So today, we're going to be talking about all of this in detail. If you're new to treasure mapping and you're like, what the heck are they talking about? We are going to do a quick review. We also have done podcast episodes the last 3 years on treasure mapping. So we will also link to those. So if you want like a more detailed explanation of what these are, why you would ever want to do them, we'll make sure that you can go back and watch those. But we are going to touch on it briefly. We're going to review last year's astrology to really pick apart what might have been going on. We're going to review the results and we're going to give examples from both Tracey's map and my map for evidence for Tracey's conclusion. And we'll tell you what that is. And then finally, we're going to talk about this year's maps and how to take what we've learned and weave it into how we're creating maps this year. Sound good? All right. So Tracey, welcome back to the Astrology Hub podcast. I love that we get to connect every year like this. This is so fun for me personally. I know our community loves it too. People have been asking, are we doing treasure maps? What's happening? So thank you and welcome back.
Well, thank you, Amanda. It's so good to be back. And it was really good to talk to you little bits throughout the year. And because I was having my own strange moments with the treasure mapping. And I did, as we started, certainly when we hit the third quarter, when we hit the Capricorn New Moon, it was very clear to me that I needed to reach out to you and say, we're going to have to do a thing for everybody at Astrology Hub, because I'm pretty sure I have an idea what's happening to us.
Okay.
And it was in my own personal life I was experiencing and based on yours and with some other people as well, my little treasure mapping community. So I was like, yeah, we gotta do a thing.
Let's debrief. Yeah.
Let's be brief. So the treasure mapping was something that one of my astrologers and teachers, Buzz Myers, talked about with his students, of which I was one of them. And I used to get his monthly new moon workshops. And in April of 1996, he said, "Hey, everybody, on this Aries new moon, we're going to make treasure maps." And I'm like, "What's that?" And then he explained it in the way, and this is 1996. So this is so many years before people were running with vision boards. I mean, this is way back. And he basically laid it out. And as he described it, you get a poster board, you're going to get pictures, you're going to get magazines, make a collage. And it's how we all understand vision boards now. But again, he's doing it in 96. So my two friends and I, my friend Margaret and Ann, and Margaret was the one who introduced me to Buzz. We all got together, we made our maps, and dang, if we didn't have big time results. And I mean, I put a guy from a magazine, Ralph Lauren ad, and guy on a yacht. I wasn't dating anybody at the time. I also don't live by the ocean. I'm in Hancock Park, Los Angeles. I'm not, but I just like the way he looked. And within a month, I met through work, I met a guy, and the guy is now my husband, and his family had been members of a yacht club for 60 years. I'm like, how did I end up in yacht land? So that was a pretty big how do you do with treasure maps. I mean, big time results. So since that time, I have continued making treasure maps, and I used to just do it in person with people, and we would talk about it. And then I went digital, and then I'm in my various communities. I brought in more people, and we would talk it down just like you do with the Astrology Hub. And people would say what worked for them, what didn't work for them, and that's what we've been doing for almost 30 years, right? So that's treasure mapping, and I know we've had great successes along the way. So what I started bumping into, and we'll get into it when we go into my map, but I want to just kind of get people's brain there, is the eclipses we've had. So 3 years ago, we had two Aries new moons, I should say. One at 0 and one at 29. And the one at 29 was the eclipse one. And I certainly had results. I had results that year. And then last year, we had the Great American Eclipse, and that was a total. And I actually went to the eclipse zone. I made my map afterwards because astrologically there was a Saturn aspect that I said, why don't I wait? And I think you guys at Astro Hub were delaying some stuff as well. And so I didn't make my map. I didn't start my map until the Thursday after the Monday eclipse. I think it was Monday. I said, you know what, I'm going to use the Saturn and the Mars as I recall, to help with my map making. And so I made my map. And what I've distilled down, because I did ultimately get some results for sure, but I had to go through darkness. I had to go through apparent loss. I had to go through the shadow to then get the results. And that is an eclipse. That is. So why I wasn't tracking this as efficiently as I should have is because the Aries eclipses are 19 years apart. So the last one we had this was in 2004 and 5, as I recall. And I had a toddler at the time, and I was in my little group, and we're all like doing this. And I think I had results. I mean, so it wasn't like in my face. And maybe part of it is because I'm an American and I live in America, and the Great American Eclipse hadn't been there. And maybe that had a little extra on us for some of us.
Yes,
right?
if anyone's international. Yeah, anyone who was doing maps in other countries, maybe
Didn't have it as hard.
I'd love to hear from you. Like if you're saying, what are they talking about? My treasure map was great, and I saw the same kind of results I always do. Let us know where you are in the world, because I can definitely see that influencing.
One person who I spoke to about her map felt really good about her map. She said it took a long time. She had a lot of results. She lives in the United States, but she wasn't born here.
Hmm.
It's kind of
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm thinking out loud because we don't get these examples in real time for until every 19 years. So, and I will be so old when the next one comes. Nobody's going to want to hear my results when I'm 89. I don't know
Maybe
what,
we will, Tracy.
whatever,
Come
I
on.
don't know what I'll be. I haven't even done the math, but I'll be longer in the tooth. Anyway, so when I looked at everything from that lens, I understood my map much more. I also understood Saturn. Saturn, as we all know, delays, doesn't deny. And Saturn really just wants to get to the real nuts and bolts of what we want. And sometimes we think what we want is this, but underneath we really want this. Saturn will always go down here.
Hmm. And Tracy I can just refresh our memory. Was Saturn prominent in
I
the eclipse?
Well, I remember, like I said, I remember. So Saturn and Mars were conjunct in April 8th, 2024, and
Okay.
Mars and they were conjunct in Pisces.
Oh,
It's always a little murky,
yep.
but Mars is Aries ruling planet. So you got to look at Mars. Okay, so one thing love to do to break out is I'd like to screen share something that I have with you. In case you didn't see, this is the eclipse pattern that went across America, and this was in 2024, April 8th. And now let me pull up my map. I may take it away for a little bit because this is a lot to go over with you, but I did go to the eclipse. I went to Texas, so we were game on for the eclipse. We were very excited. We had family there, and we had a great time. And I waited until I got home before making my map. There was a Saturn Mars aspect, and I thought I would take that and kind of grind down the new moon and information from the Aries eclipse and everything and just use it for making my map. And so you'll see my map is structured around the Feng Shui baguas, and I put little circles of colors associated with the baguas on the map. And you can see there's like a pink circle, and there's a yellow circle, and there's a green circle. And in the lower left, you'll see the blue bagua, and that's the knowledge section. And I have the affirmation, I am learning every day. I also have the woman in the center, and she's in a yoga pose, and she's stretched wide open, and she's reaching above her, and it felt welcoming with a willingness to experience. That's how I saw it. And I saw a trust or a faith by her outstretched arm. Underneath, I have the affirmation, my body, brain, and psyche flexes with ease. And off her leg, you'll see the word small, great things. Okay, going in further, on the center left, you will see the green circle, which is the family bagua. And I put a photo of my husband, my son, and me. And I wanted to also include my husband's mother and my mother. And that felt important to me this year. Along with that, I put a photo of our cat. And I used a photo of her with my son since she is part of the family. And for some curious reason, I was drawn to the image that says, take it easy. And it's not an expression that I use, but I was drawn to it. And I have the affirmation, our family is safe, healthy, and joyful. In 1999, when we got married, my husband and I honeymooned in Italy. 2024 was our 25th anniversary. And in April, when I made this map, I had zero idea what our finances or life would look like and if a trip could even be obtained. But in the green area, I put a photo of a long table in a beautiful Italian garden with the words, the Rome edition. This is just above the cat photo. And to really make my point, on the right side of the map, I have Tuscan fields and an Italian villa in a gray travel bagua. So as Buzz said, by the time we get to the Cancer new moon in July, we will start to see action from our map. This year was no exception. A lot had happened, just maybe not exactly as I envisioned. My son graduated from college, great, but 3 weeks before graduation, his banking account was hacked and his savings account was drained. The lost money stressed my son and frankly, my husband and me as well. Because of my son's final schedule, my husband's work obligations, and my ability to handle stress better than both, I ended up being the one to lead the conversations with the bank. Unfortunately, the bank said it would not return the funds. It was a lifetime of savings for my son, and I have to say I left my body during the process. At this stage in my life, I've had these moments where I have to disengage from whatever is happening in order to get to a solution. Like the yoga gal who is trusting something above her, and the affirmation that I wrote, I had to flex my brain and psyche. It took a month and a lot of three-way phone calls between my son, the bank, Apple Pay, and other companies, but in the end, his money was returned to the account. The affirmation I'm learning every day was in effect for me, and I joked that I aged during that month, but as also on my map, you'll see, I see aging as a positive thing. I stayed centered, and even with the hope was low, I took it bit by bit with the hope that it would be okay. Part of what made this experience so hard for my son was that he had planned an end of the college vacation to Europe trip. The trip now was in jeopardy with the lost money, but once it was returned, the trip was back on. He was able to continue his planned vacation to Spain for celebrating the end of college, and all was good. Now, I have to say, my son was in a 12th house perfection year, and during his trip, he called us to tell us his computer and camera were stolen. Between that and the bank thing, I think you're all feeling the 12th house perfection, and of course, the shadow of the eclipse. Anyway, we advised him to figure a way to not let it get him down and make the most of his trip. At the last moment, he decided he wanted to add a couple days and go to Rome, which was not on the itinerary. While he was there, he stopped at a cat cafe and sent a photo. We spoke to him when he was in Rome. I applauded him for rallying. I found myself saying, take it easy. It was then I went bingo and looked at my map. Rome edition, cat on a lap, and take it easy. It was all there. Not anything I planned, but again, I had trusted the process when I made my map. Now, I got to be honest, this is way more conversation about my son than I like to have when talking about my map. I have my map. My son and my husband have their maps. My goals, my dreams, my vision, my map. I have Aries rising. Believe me, it is my map. But I signed up to be a mother, and as a parent, even of an adult child, you want to know that your kid will have the skills to navigate their inner space and any hurdles. This year was apparently part of my goals, and even though his 12th house perfection year was not on my radar when I made my map, I think my higher sense must have known. So I will make hideous calls to banks and a call from a stressed child on a trip over a lost camera and a computer, and I'll have a long conversation with Apple. I will do all that to know that he learned important lessons. And last week, his debit card was compromised and he handled the bank like a pro. It gave me confidence that my affirmation, my family is safe, healthy, and joyful, got steeped in reality this year. And I have said this before, and I'll say it again, my maps are claircognizant. They know something. Even if I don't, my map guides me. And it's as if my map says, don't worry, I know where we are headed and I got your back. So that is my map story.
I love how clear you are on the necessity for us to do these maps. Thank you for walking through your map in such beautiful detail. And I'd love to use a few examples from my map to actually illustrate that as well, just to kind of double down on what you just shared. And I'm going to hone in on one particular facet of the map, which at the time I created the map, I didn't even really know why I was putting these particular images on. And I have to say, it was predominant that I had these visuals of this one woman who on my map is Jennifer Lopez. Now, I'm not some like Jennifer Lopez groupie. I don't even listen to her music, like nothing. But so why did I have Jennifer Lopez on my map? Okay. The reason why is because I had her like standing really strong and clear. And what she represented for me was a certain presence, a certain confidence, a certain vitality, a certain passion, an aliveness that, you know, there was her on stage, but like several pictures on my map. And we'll show this on screen for you to see the actual visuals that I had on my map. And it was also that she was dancing and that she was fit, but not just fit and like muscular, but like moving, you know, and you could feel that in these visuals that she was moving and she was dancing and and so that is something that and I'm looking at her in her 50s, you know, going, okay, yes, like that. I want to experience that. I want to feel that alive and fit and mobile and dancing and moving when I'm in my 50s. So I put her on my map predominantly. This was, when did we do these? In April?
Yeah, April.
Okay. So,
April 8th.
so June comes and my daughters are out of school and they're like, Mommy, we want to go to the gym with you. We want to go, we want to work out, we want to train. I'm like, yes, awesome. So we create this whole like fitness plan for the whole summer. This is gonna be the summer where we get fit and we do it together. And this is so fun. And I'm so excited about this. And I had been going to the gym pretty regularly, but we make a plan where we're gonna go like 6 days a week. You know, we're gonna like go all in. So we do 1 week of this plan. And on Saturday, so we start on Monday. On Saturday, I'm at the gym, I'm doing it, I'm in it, I'm, you know, probably pushing way too hard, and I throw out my back. So now, and this is a bad one. I mean, I've done this before, but this is a bad one where I cannot walk, I cannot move. I am literally like bedridden for several weeks. So not only am I not getting fit and vital and alive and dancing, I'm literally not moving. And so this story carries through the entire summer. Like
Right.
the girls are going to the gym. I'm not doing anything. And I'm terrified, Tracey. I'm terrified to do anything and aggravate this thing again. And so like, you know, I'm feeling it down my right leg and it's just this like constant, you know, blah, blah, blah. So me and my love end up going to Mexico for some health things for him. And while we're there, we decide to look into my back. So I get an MRI. I have bulging discs at L4 and L5. And they're like touching the spinal cord, which explains the pain down the leg and blah, blah, blah. So while we're there, we get several treatments that are meant to be very long-term treatments that work very slowly, but that over time should help to heal the issue in my back. So, but there's no moving. You can't move for, I think it was like 6 weeks after that. So now we're like into October, November, and I'm still not even moving. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not, I'm so far from this vision that I put on this board. It's laughable. These are probably when I'm leaving you some text messages going, Tracey, what the, you know? So anyways, it wasn't until about a month ago that I started to feel better. My back felt strong enough and healthy enough to go back to dance. So I have been going back to my hula that I love on Tuesday nights. It was literally, I had to take that long of a break. And also, my love painstakingly chose a personal trainer for me who is helping me really create foundational movement, foundational fitness, mobility. We focus a lot on mobility. He always talks about brushing your teeth and flossing your joints and really just really just focusing not so much just on strength, but also on actual like flexibility and the ability to move and just do regular movements, which, you know, I was very focused on the strength thing and not so much on the rest of it. Because what I realized is that some of the shadow that came out when my daughters and I were all excited about getting fit is this idea that I need to dominate my body. I need to like dominate it into submission through like all this hard like work.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And that was another shadow element that I believe needed to be brought to my awareness so that my approach this time is so different. is so gentle, is so loving. Like sometimes I'm like, am I even doing anything? But it really is like just starting from those basics. And I have this beautiful, lovely Capricorn sun, moon in Cancer, Pisces rising trainer.
Oh, so sensitive.
He's so sensitive and so tuned in and really helping me stay in my intuitive knowing, call it quits when it's too much, all that. And so I'm literally in this like whole functional fitness. And I told him, I said, I want to be able to dance until the day I graduate, which I don't say death, I say graduate. Until the
Nice.
day I want to be able to dance. So how do we set this up now? And so now I'm back around to like this thing that was so, I mean, not only did I have Jennifer Lopez on my map, but I also had hula dancers. I had several visuals of hula dancers. And here I am, not even, I can't go to hula. I can't do any of this stuff.
Right.
So because what it does is those things feed my soul on such a deep level. It's not just about dancing. It's not just about fitness. It's about like what it does for me on a deep soul level. And so
Right.
I see that all this whole storyline that unfolded for me and became like this dominating storyline in my life was because I needed to see these aspects of me that, were still not aligned. And that's my story, Tracey. I mean, there's a lot more stories on the map, but I really wanted to highlight that
I
one.
certainly, question, how far down is the L4 and the L5? Is that what you said?
Sacral,
The vertebrae.
very
Is
low,
it
very low, sacral.
sacral? Oh, so I'm not doing therapy, but I just want to talk it out loud for a second. Is that's support? Do you think that your dude is really showing a lot of support? He really took the time to find the right trainer for you, and your trainer is giving you a lot of support. Do you think on some level your psyche needed to know that you have support?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you did this deliberate, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yes.
just
Oh, for sure, Tracey. This is a constant theme for me is
right.
feeling like, and it's not true, but feeling like I have to do everything myself. And if I don't do it, it won't get done or it won't, it's
There is an eclipse in Aries like I've never heard one.
yes, yes, exactly. No, this feeling that like it's if it's gonna get done, it's got to be me, and I got to do it, and I got to do it, for sure. And that is definitely that like opening up to be receptive to others supporting me and feeling worthy of being supported and all these things, and seeing the support that already is all around me. I mean, all these things for sure, all of it. And so what I want to invite all of you to do, those of you who did treasure maps last year, think about it through this lens. If your treasure map did not come to fruition, perhaps were there shadow elements that you did work through, that you needed to work through? Can you see now with the hindsight that you needed to work through those things in order to set yourself up to actually have the things that are on your map, but in a way that is sustainable over time? So yes, and I'd love to hear, like, this is to me, because these things, the astrology is never the same year to year, right? And we know we are in an entirely new time that we are exploring astrologically. The fabric of time itself, it's changing. It's
Yes.
changing a lot. And so I think it's more important now than ever for us to be sharing our stories because
Yes.
because we're all navigating it together and at the same time, and we're all new, especially with the age of Aquarius. And one of the things we talked about at the navigating change panel is how, because it's air, we've moved into such an air time, the element of air, that manifestations are quicker, things are lighter, things are coming into form like faster.
Right.
And so we talked about the importance of being extraordinarily mindful about the way that we're saying things, about the way, our frequency,
And our thing.
our thinking. And so like when you're talking about being really, really careful with those affirmations.
Okay, so one thing love to do to break out to the affirmations is I'd like to screen share something that I have with you. Affirmations are sentences that begin with I. And it's really important that affirmations be in the present tense. They shouldn't be in the future, and they shouldn't be in the past. So you don't write, I will be strong. You say, I am strong. You don't write, I will be healthy. I am healthy. You don't write, I will get a career I love. You write, I love my career. I am happy and grateful that I have a career I love. Now, this can be hard for people because they're not quite ready. They could be in this really crappy job and they hate everybody they're working with. So to suddenly say, I love my career, not everybody has that skill. So therefore, you can maybe give yourself a little bit of a wiggle and say, I am happy and grateful I have a career that I love. That sometimes can be helpful. And in general, I think we have to get our language down because we have Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus is going to be in Gemini in about 8 seconds. It's coming up on us. We're going to be doing this air for a long time. Air is thoughts, air is language, air is words. So we need to get our words right. And I did see in talking with some mappers that people were sometimes leaning a little hard into their fear. And so some maps had, I am worthy, which I get. Maybe there was reasons for why they were not feeling worthy, but then they spent all year, it's like the universe kept challenging them. Do you really think you're worthy? And they had all these hurdles. So anyway, I do think that language is really important in terms of your affirmations and your maps.
It's 100% true. Like now more than ever, we need to be very mindful of the language that we're using. And even the visuals we're putting out there, I think too. Like I look at some of the visuals on my map and I was like, I don't know, like where was that coming from? What did that
Yes.
like you're saying, like is that actually what I want? And if I thought I want it, where was that coming from? You know?
Right. What's really the satisfying thing I want?
Yes.
Right.
Ooh, what's really the saddest? What is it about that thing that I think I want? Like, let's get beneath
Mhm.
the surface level of it.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So, what I would say, if you're interested in joining in this yearly ritual with us, we're going to link to previous treasure maps so you can get the nuts and bolts. Like, if you're like, I want to know how to do this, we're going to link to the episodes we've done to give you the nuts and bolts so that you can do this on your own. And you can even have a treasure mapping party like at your house and invite your friends. And it's really a fun thing to do, right? Okay, the other option is you can join us in the inner circle and do it together. We always do our Aries New Moon ceremony is our treasure mapping workshop. So we do it together. We put music on. If people have questions, we're answering questions. If people have comments or want to share stories or whatever, we just open it up to the community for that. And we are in our promotional period for the inner circle right now, where you can lock in 50% off your membership for life. So this is available to you now through the end of the month, through March 31st. So if you want to jump in and do this, now is the time. You learn from a different astrologer every month. You get mastery classes. You get new and full moon forecasts. You get all kinds of amazing things for only $37 a month right now, normally $74, or you can do an annual or a lifetime option. Okay. With that said, let's talk about the timing, Tracey. When do you think it is ideal to be doing our treasure maps this year?
Okay, so I'm going to take control of the screen again. So the Aries New Moon is on March 29th at 3:58 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And it's 9:00, it's 9 Aries with 00 degrees, 00 minutes. The waxing period ends on April 12th at 5:22 p.m. And that is the period right before the full moon is perfect. So what my overall feeling is this era that we're now in, this astrological era that we are in, we have these eras periodically, and any human, if they live to be 80 or 90 years old, they're going to have a few eras that are stronger astrologically than others. And we are definitely in one now. And I've been liking it to the Olympics, because I live in a city that has the Olympics, has had them. I've witnessed them, and now we're getting ready for another one. When the Olympics is coming to your city, everybody's talking about the Olympics and everything. And then when the events actually happen, you're deciding how you're going to drive to an appointment. You got to figure out, oh, they're going to have the thing and it's going to be a crowd. You have to navigate the Olympics. This astrological period we're in, with all of these planets that are going into the zero Aries and zero Gemini, and we already got Pluto in Aquarius, we're in our Olympic period right now. Now, it's not everything doesn't end after this period is over. Just like after the LA Olympics in 28, everybody's going to be looking at Brisbane in 32. The same with whatever this era is. But I really want people to really go in, because Aries is our vitality. Aries tells the world, I'm here, I deserve to be here. You find the time that makes the most sense for you in this window. Because you'll be in the right headspace. Because we leave our body, at least I do. I leave my body. I'm here, I'm conscious. I'm telling my husband, where's the glue bottle? I'm doing that, but I am someplace else. Why did I put a Rome edition on my map? Why did I put take it easy? I don't know, but it came out to be important to me later. So there's going to be things that we're going to put on our map that I believe will be important to us later, especially in this era that we're in. So we make our maps during the waxing moon. The day after the new moon is Mercury will leave 0 degrees Aries and go into Pisces. Some people may want to say, I'm making it on the new moon before it goes into Pisces. So I want all that Aries energy. Okay, you can do that. I don't know when I'm going to make my map. But we will most likely be making it while Mercury is retrograde and Venus is retrograde. Yeah, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, because we're learning so much. I said to a group of people, this treasure map party, this Aries new moon, you know who's hosting this? Mercury and Venus, because they are back and forth. They are our ambassadors to 0 Aries, because they're over it 3 times.
Oh, I like that. There are ambassadors to 0 Aries, which for those of you who aren't tracking as much, in February of 2026, 0 degrees of Aries is going to be where there's a massive party between Saturn and Neptune.
Neptune in Aries at 0. We're going to have Saturn at 0 Aries. Then in June, we're going to have Uranus in 0 Gemini. And then we'll have Jupiter in Cancer in July. We're doing a lot. So like I said earlier, I believe that lot that we're doing, our psyche and our higher conscious already knows, and they're going to be working with us to have a terrific map that'll all make sense.
Okay, so essentially we have between March 29th and April 12th is the window to actually create our maps this year, because Tracey's always advocating to do it sometime between the new moon and the full moon for the Aries lunar cycle.
But once the full moon starts and you haven't made your map, you're not supposed to make a map this year, and that's fine.
Okay, and people ask that every year. Like, what if I missed the window? It's like, you know what? Do the window, get it done in the window. And I think of it as the cosmic curriculum. You know, I was like a school geek. I loved school. So for me, curriculum's fun. And the fact that the cosmos gives us like deadlines and timelines, it actually helps us do the things that we want to do. So just think of this as like, because it can take a lot of energy. I mean, it actually is a process. I think, and actually this year, I got to say, like, I don't actually know what's going to be on my map. Whereas usually several months before, I'm already at least collecting ideas, if not taking screenshots of things that I know I want to put on it. But this year, I don't know yet. But I think that, you know, it is an investment of time and energy to do this process, which is another reason why I think it works, because we actually like put ourselves into it. But as the years have gone, Tracey, I'm opening up more and more to just being really guided to, especially this year, like, because I kind of tried to manage it a little bit last year. This year, I'm thinking like, I'm just going to be very open and receptive and just take the cues. know that I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
but just take the cues in terms of what is going to go on that map and what isn't. And yeah.
Well, listen, we're like I said to you earlier, we're re-racking the pool table. I mean, all the balls are going and we're just starting fresh with these outer planets already making these changes. And then Saturn will be in the mix as well. We can't micromanage this. We can't know where we're going to be. I mean, it's a great opportunity to kind of to get fresh. And aren't we tired of being stale, or is that just me?
No, we definitely don't want to be stale. But let's be fresh.
And I do want to say one thing about time. I don't always talk about my own chart because I don't want to get stuck on that. But I have Aries rising and I have very early degree. I don't have 0, but I have 2 degrees. So I kind of when the planets are doing their stuff, I really feel it because it's in its home house in my chart, right? So when the moon's in Virgo, it's in my 6th house. When
Yeah.
so everything is in their natural spot. And I started noticing something about a month ago that I haven't experienced in a long time. And you tipped it off when you talked about time. What I am used to is I wake up in the morning and next thing you know, it's 5 o'clock. I go, how does it become 5 o'clock? What the heck? So that's been my life and probably a lot of people's lives for the last 20 years or so. I have lately had the opposite. I have that, okay, still, but I also have, gosh, it's only 10.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I just kind of feel like time is doing something weird. Or maybe it's I feel like there's a little retrograde, there's a little forward, there's a little something. Time is messing with us a little bit.
I have several different like spiritual teachers that I tune into. And one of them was saying that many of us are entering into a time of timelessness,
Yes.
where time is actually not, well, we already know time isn't what it seems like it is by the way
Yeah.
that our brains filter it, and that we're moving into a different fabric. And
Right.
he used the word timelessness. And I was like, whoa, that,
Okay, that resonates with me because I feel like I'm seeing that.
mm,
I have my own opinion. I understand time the
yeah,
way I have for all these years I've been on the planet, but it just in the last month, it's starting to not feel like the way I know time.
yeah.
Links to what your guides or people are telling you.
Yeah, amazing. Tracey, thank you so much for being here and doing this ritual with us. There's something so nice about the rhythm of it. The fact that
Yeah.
we get to come together, we get to have this fresh start, we get to debrief on our experience from the year before, we get to hear from the community. I hope you all will share your experiences and that it's like we get to begin again. We get to
We
begin.
do. And I'm excited. Now, you and I might want to go back to the community in the Cancer cycle because I anticipate there might be a lot of action between now and then, and we might want to
Yeah.
do that first impressions
I love
look.
that. I love that. Yeah. So basically, for those of you who are new to treasure mapping, we do the new moon treasure map. And then by the Cancer new moon, the idea is that you're going to have some sprouts of,
Some seeds, some things will have started to manifest, or the
right,
sprouts of the manifestation. Yes.
exactly. Then by Libra,
We're
things,
in the full, we really have, now we're seeing some stuff.
right. And then by,
Third Capricorn, the third quarter, we're really understanding, and there might be some, and by the way, we can do little tune-ups in, maybe I'll make another phone call to that person to help me with that thing that I started back at Aries, we'd make adjustments.
Tracey, thank you so much for being here again with us. It's such a pleasure to have this rhythmic opportunity to revisit with you. And I look forward to checking in with you in Cancer. We'll do another episode. We'll share where we're at. We'll get some more feedback from the community. And just thank you for sharing this gift with us. It's such a fun thing to be doing together every single year. More than fun. feels
Thank
important.
you for welcoming. Yes, I really am. Buzz Meyer should be proud.
Yay, Buzz. Look what's
Yes.
happened in your legacy. I mean, that's the thing is when we share these things, we don't even know what things will outlive us, right?
Mhm.
So
Right.
that's an amazing thing as well. Okay. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for being interested and doing these really practical things with your astrological wisdom and the astrological knowledge and working with the timing. I hope that you enjoy it as much as we do. And I can't wait to hear from you in the chat. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode.